Hey folks, good day to you. All right, this is assignment number 7. For assignment number 7, you are going to need pen and paper or pencil, whatever you prefer. So if you would please take a moment to collect those things, perhaps you could hit pause on the video while you do that, and then we'll all be ready to begin. All right, so let's proceed. So this assignment is going to have 2 parts, and here's the first part. So if you would please get your piece of paper and draw a large circle on your piece of paper in the middle of the piece of paper. Okay? All right. And now if you would please consider the world that we live in and the world that you live in, whatever that means to you. Consider the things that you encounter in the world as you go through your life, the kind of things you see, the kind of things you hear about, and so on. And consider what of what you experience in the world is acceptable to you and what is unacceptable. Okay? And what I'd like for you to do is to write down whatever it is that you're aware of right now that is acceptable to you inside the circle on your piece of paper, and everything that is unacceptable to you on the outside. And I'm not going to give you any examples, and I'm not going to give you more prompts than that, because I want you to just kind of see what arises in response to that question. So again, everything that's acceptable goes on the inside of the circle. Everything that is unacceptable goes on the outside. So if you would please hit pause on the video and give yourself a chance to work on that for a bit. Okay, welcome back. All right, so I have a couple questions for you about that, and you can hit pause in between the questions, at the end of the questions, to give yourself a chance to respond, as we've done with other assignments. So your first question is, so take a look at what you've done, take a look at what is acceptable and what is unacceptable, and ask yourself, what's the difference? Why is it that some things are acceptable and some things are not acceptable? What makes something acceptable? What makes something unacceptable? Or to say it another way, what is your relationship with the things that are acceptable and your relationship with the things that are unacceptable? And what's the difference? What's the difference between those 2 relationships? Okay? All right, so hit pause on the video if you would, and take a moment or 2 to answer that question. Okay. Here's the other question. So when you look at the things that are outside the circle, the ones that are unacceptable, are there any there that you would like to pull into the circle of acceptance? More particularly, are there any things that seem reasonable right now to invite into the circle of acceptance? Things that you actually may have a chance of accepting? And if there are, ask yourself, how might you do that? How might you move the thing, whatever it is, from outside the circle to inside the circle? You might consider the things that are already inside the circle. Some of those very likely used to be outside the circle, I would guess. If you find any like that, how did that happen? How did they move from outside the circle to inside the circle? Okay? All right, so if you would hit pause on the video and take a few moments to consider that. Okay, very good. Welcome back. All right, part 2, very similar. If you would get a fresh sheet of paper, draw a large circle on the center of your paper like you did before. And this time, instead of your relationship with the world, I'd like for you to do the same thing with your relationship with yourself. So consider, what are the things, consider your experience of yourself, whatever that might be. How you think, how you feel, how you behave, all of that. And consider, what is it about you that you accept, and what is it about you that you do not accept? And if you would please, write down all the things you can think of that you do accept about yourself on the inside of the circle, and everything that you do not accept on the outside of the circle. Okay? So acceptable on the inside, unacceptable on the outside. So take a few minutes to work on that, if you would. Okay, so the same two questions here. What is it about the things that are on the inside of the circle that are acceptable? What makes them acceptable? Perhaps you could ask yourself, what process has happened inside of you to make those things acceptable? When you look at the things on the outside of the circle, what makes them unacceptable? What is about them that is unacceptable to you? Or more particularly, as we did with the part one, what is it in your relationship with those things that makes some acceptable and some unacceptable? Okay, so hit pause if you would and take a few moments to work on that. Okay, good. All right, and then question two, same as with the other one in the first part. So when you look at what is outside of the circle of acceptance, are there things that you would like to move into the circle? And, realistically, are there things that you can? Are there things that are outside the circle right now and that are within your reach, within the reach of your compassion and your awareness? Are there things that you might actually be able to move into the circle of acceptance from the unacceptable place? And if you find something like that, ask yourself, how would you do that? How would you move this thing from the unacceptable into the acceptable? Even more deeply, you might ask yourself, who would you have to be in order to accept this thing, whatever it is? Who would you have to be in yourself to accept this thing and to move it into the circle of acceptance? Okay, very good. So now, once you finish writing about that, maybe step back, take a look at the two pieces of paper, and see what do you notice about acceptance? What is this thing that we call acceptance? And just what do you see about that? And what do you see in what you wrote out about the work that is in front of you to do now in your life in order to be in a place of heart-centered awareness in relationship to the world and in relationship to yourself? Excellent. Okay, and then let me know. Let us all know in the class as soon as you feel ready, and I'll look forward to seeing your responses. Thanks as always for being here. Thanks for your willingness to do this work. Thanks for the way you're showing up in the class. I'm really enjoying being a part of this and being able to communicate with you in this way. Take care, be well, and I'll see you in the class.